Imagine setting up your own private colony outside of the jurisdiction of any state and holding on to it for decades. And all of this without being a king or having the backing of any national entity. Beyond this, also having a population that willingly cooperates and becomes part of the colony. Add then to this that the colony is profitable and pays for many large and costly expeditions. Sounds impressive, does it not? But this actually happened with the Thule colony of Knud Rasmussen in Northern Greenland. The colony was based around the Thule trading station established by Knud Rasmussen and his company at Cape York in 1910, although the colony would only really be the trading station and the few hundred Inuit who traded there. It would lay claim to the entire Greenlandic county of Avanaa, an area more or less the size of the US state of Montana. Knud Rasmussen was just a private individual who had been on an expedition to the area in 1904 to 1905. The region was at the time disputed, and on this map from 1886 of the British Empire, it is shown as being British. Later it would predominantly be claimed by the US through the Perry expeditions. Knud Rasmussen, being a Dane, argued for the establishment of a Danish trading station in the area to supply the polar Inuits with necessities in return for fur. He was denied by the Danish Ministry of Greenland, however, and thus turned to private support. This he found and could establish the trading station in 1910. As the station was established in a disputed area, it was at the time of establishment not under Danish law, and as fate would have it, none of the nations having a claim to the area intervened. Thus Thule, being named after the mythic Ultima Thule, was free to lead its own life completely outside of any nation. In time, the colony would even have its own steamship bringing furs to Copenhagen, and would even have its own stamps and post office. As these stamps were not recognized by anyone else, new stamps were added in the office in Copenhagen, but it made it possible to send a letter from Thule. The furs from the Thule colony would mainly be Arctic fox, and was so profitable that it could finance all 7 Thule expeditions of Knud Rasmussen, including the 5th Thule expedition across Canada from Thule to Alaska from 1921 to 1924. These expeditions would make Knud Rasmussen a celebrity, cementing his claim to Thule even as times changed. In 1917, the US had given up its claim to Peryland as part of the takeover of the US Virgin Islands from Denmark. Thus, the area was now recognized as being under Danish sovereignty. The only problem was that the Thule colony was established before 1917 and thus had prior claim. And again, for many years, the Danish government didn't do anything about the colony. This can both be attributed to a lack of interest and to the great popularity that Knud Rasmussen enjoyed in the population. Furthermore, the expeditions of Knud Rasmussen helped solidify Danish claims to more of Greenland without any costs to the government. Meanwhile, the Thule colony evolved on its own, establishing its own laws and assembly of the local hunters to vote for new laws. These laws were not recognized by the Danish government, but were also not stopped. There would begin negotiation to integrate Thule into Greenland, but they would be dragged out and often stalled on disputes. In the end, the Thule colony would survive Knud Rasmussen, who died December 21, 1933, while on the 7th Thule expedition in eastern Greenland. Knud Rasmussen thus died while still in possession of the largest private colony ever held by a common citizen. After his death, negotiation with the estate would speed up as the Danish government wanted to settle the matter after having won the claim to eastern Greenland against Norway. The negotiations would be finalized in 1937, and the colony would become the County Avanar of Greenland. Thus ended the largest private colony in history and a successful micronation that lasted for 27 years. Interestingly, the terms of the handover of the Thule colony included that the colony of Greenland and Denmark would respect the laws of Thule. Thus, it could be argued that the Inuit Assembly of Thule should still retain its rights to make regional laws. This has not been respected, however, and in 2008 the county of Avanar was split, with the eastern part becoming part of the East Greenlandic National Park, and the western, with the settlements, would become the municipality of Avannaata, which would be the entity retaining any rights to self-rule.